I was going to go for something a little more extravagant this week, but as the saying goes, sometimes simple is better. The overall theme of this week's food challenge was into the wild, and I immediately started thinking of wild animals. I started thinking of meat because that is just my first instinct. I'm a meat and potatoes guy, according to my coworkers. And the reason Into the Wild was chosen was because my boss is a big fan of the book. At least I think he is. He might have meant to say Call of the Wild, but again, like nothing too specific there. And I don't really have that much to say about this week's challenge because in the end, it was a lot more simple than I thought it was going to be. I wanted to originally use stuff that was made from beef, pork, or chicken until it occurred to me just how domesticated those animals have become to the point where they don't really exist in the wilderness anymore. The only animal that really exists in the wilderness that's a huge profit in terms of meat is fish. And I hadn't thought of that before because I do like fish, but the three meats that I just mentioned before, I like a hell of a lot more. So I don't really go out of my way to try fish and chips. And when my dad suggested why don't we use the wild haddock that we have, I thought, "Oh, yeah, that's a pretty good idea. We could deep fry that." And then I started thinking of fish and chips because I wanted to use some of the potatoes we have and make some authentic homemade French fries and double fry them as opposed to what I usually do at work, which is where I put my potatoes in the oven, I cook them for an hour, and then I leave them in the fridge overnight so that when you cut into them, they're going to be nice and soft and they're going to fry up a lot quicker. I wanted to try that at home until it also hit me that potato plants are not wild crops anymore. They're farm crops. So there are a lot of ideas that I had for this week's challenge that I didn't really get to weigh in on that I'm really hoping that next week might have a little more of a variety with the upcoming theme. But you know what? Sometimes simple is better. I was surprised by how quick the fish deep fried in the pan, but at the same time, it worked in such a way that it was nice gold brown, very soft but still crunchy. It was interesting trying to get it onto my fork, let alone in the tartar sauce, because it cooks through so fastly that it actually broke apart the second I pulled it out of the deep fryer with my tongs. It started falling off. That one picture that I showed you at the very end, there was supposed to be two strips of fish, but one of them broke very quickly on me, so I just went along with the one. And the tartar sauce was something that I knew for a fact I wasn't going to like. I don't really like how sour it is when you mix the relish, the mustard, the sugar, and just about everything else. Taking all these sweet ingredients and making it feel sour, even though that's not really the case. But I'm happy to say that I gave it a shot, and it had been a few years. I thought that there was a possibility that I could have been wrong about how I felt about it. Same with the wild rice. I'm a white rice person. I like it with just plain old salt and pepper and a little bit of ketchup for dipping. And I am so used to microwaving it, I thought that it would be a nice time to give it a try cooking rice on a skillet because I've done that before. I've served fried rice at work, but that stuff was already pre-cooked and the rice was supposed to have a little bit more texture when you're refrying it and serving it along with your eggs. So I was a little afraid that I was going to fuck that up and have the rice stick to the pan, but I'm happy to say that rice really didn't take much to cook. It was one whole pack, and all it needed was 2 tablespoons of water, which I thought I was going to need more of, but that didn't end up being the case. And I don't know, this week was just so simple that there really isn't that much else for me to say other than wild haddock and wild rice do go pretty well together. You don't have to make homemade tartar sauce. In fact, I'm not really a fan of the flavor that I wouldn't ask you to do it anyways, but in any case, if you have fish, try deep frying it. It'll taste so good it'll just fall right off your fork. And if you do have deep frying canola oil and you have potatoes, feel free to double fry your fries. It'll taste really good. This might be my worst video just based on the fact that I have absolutely nothing to say. It's strange, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. In any case, guys, thank you as always for sitting for my rambling. Be sure to let me know in the comments down below what you thought of my dish. Be sure to check out the links in the description for the Canadian Civil Liberties Association and the American Civil Liberties Union, two organizations that really need your help in preserving the individual liberty of every citizen in the US and in Canada. Be sure to check those links out. Be sure to stay tuned for more classic movie reviews, and be sure to like and subscribe. Take care.